Well, when you talk about legends of the Modus Super Series, none come much bigger, none come much better than Colin Osborne. Colin, well, it's kind of been your competition, a competition you've made your own, and you've kind of found this stardom through this competition.
Yeah, that's right, H. I feel comfortable here, and obviously playing on the stage, it's been a few years since I've been back on the stage, and obviously getting the opportunity to come and play again, but I just feel comfortable. I feel at home with the place, yeah.
What is it about this competition that makes you feel so at home?
I think just the surroundings, the setup, obviously yourselves, you know what I mean. The staff are all involved, the players, and it's just, and again, to play, you want to play on the stage, and this is like the second best thing to the big stages as such.
Does it feel like where you are with darts at the minute, it kind of gave you kind of that second birth for the sport again?
It did. It not so much revitalised my career because I was going in the right direction anyway. But once you come and you experience it, you know what I mean. You get the bug and it spurs you on, to go back, put the hard work in, and it's lovely to be invited all the time.
Do you know how many games you've played since you started at the beginning of a couple of years ago?
Off the top of my head, Paul, I haven't got a clue. I know I've played a few.
Not that you need the motivation, because
Yeah.
I know what you're like. We go back 15 years, and you've taught me a lot. You're still doing it. I'm the one that's commentating now, so you've got longevity, like the likes of Painter and some other players who are, approaching their 50s and into their 60s even. But you're over 400 games, and motivation-wise, if you do make the final this week, you will become the biggest game player in the history of this event and overtake Robert Owen. So is that something you would like to do this week?
Well, possibly if that's the case, obviously I've come down today. I'm in it today and tomorrow night, and hopefully get through to Saturday. And I'm here for one reason, is to win the competition, But going back to obviously playing so many games, it's I've got the hunger and desire again for the game, and I've got nothing to prove to nobody. I just love the game, and obviously Modus with this, it's given us the opportunity to go out there and express ourselves.
Was there one moment over the last couple of years that made you realise how much you loved playing in this format? Because you've had a 9-darter, you've had 4 weekly wins as well, and if you get another weekly win, you will equalise Robert Owen for the most weekly wins at 5. But was there one moment over the last couple of years that really stands out more than anything else?
Obviously the 9 when we were in Southampton, and I've recorded some decent ton-plus averages, but it's I could put my finger on quite a few, but there's also, I've been on the other side of the fence where I've had a lot of disappointments over losing out by 1 leg, or when it was on averages. I know now we have a 9-dart shootout, but there's quite a few good moments there's been for me, yeah. When
you walk through that door, like tonight, for the first time in a new series, what are those feelings like?
Coming down today, I can't wait to get here. I've just come from the hotel there, and I've just bought my missus, and she's asked, "How are you feeling?" I'm coming home as such. I feel great. I feel relaxed. I'll go in there, prepare myself like I always do, and then hopefully I'll step up tonight and show some stuff what I can actually do.
Have there been any other players in the practice room that have really spurred you on, or is there a couple of players that you want to mention that have been real allies to you over the last couple of years in either venue?
Not so much really. I'm a people's person, Paul, as you know. I get on with everybody, and you come in here some weeks and there's probably some people I've not seen for 5, 6, 10 years, or the lads who I've not ever met. But I just be myself, and we get in there, have a bit of fun, but when we step on the stage here, it's war.
And it's a different type of competition in the respect that you're in a room with, by and large, 5 other people tonight, 4 in your case, and you've got to all get along with one another, whereas perhaps in normal competition play, if you're playing a game against so-and-so, you probably try and stand the other side of the room to someone. Did that initially take a little bit of time of getting used to?
Not for myself personally, HR, because obviously of playing at the top level, I'll be myself. I'll go in there and we'll play. We'll have a bit of a bit of fun, laugh and a joke. But subconsciously, I'm ready to kill them, basically.
Over the last couple of years, you've won weekly titles. You've had your ups and downs, like you've mentioned. But what's been the biggest change, apart from going from Southampton to here, which is obviously a massive change? What's been the biggest change you've seen in the last 24 months?
For me personally, Paul, it's I've been putting a lot of hard work in. You know, I've got a small team around me now. You know, it's really small. You know, you can count on one hand, and that's what I've realised from being where I was to going how far down I went, and everybody wants to be your friend. But I've realised I've got a small team around me, and I'm still me. You know, I still get on with everybody. You know, I'm polite and everything and that, but it's people don't come inside my circle now.
Was it different, say, 12 years ago when you were winning your last tour title? It was in Gladbeck in Germany, beating James Richardson in a final. I was really hopeful that it was going to be me and you in that final. It wasn't. But at the time, were there any thoughts that that your game was maybe not as strong as it was, and the thought of that being your last title in the PDC to date, is that something unbelievable to you?
I couldn't grasp it. I couldn't get my head around it because I come on the scene like overnight. You know, I started winning things and qualifying for Boltons and match plays, and hitting 9 darters, and going and travelling. You know, and it was still all new to me then. You know, I've mentioned it previously in other interviews. The snowball effect was an understatement. But obviously, that last competition when I beat James in Germany, never in a million years I would have thought that was the last time I would have been on the stage, up to date. Because, like I said, I've got so much more to offer. You know, I'm in a good place. I'm comfortable. I'm happy with how things are. Personal life's great, and I've got nothing to prove, but only to myself. And there's some unfinished business for me.
How important is it to have that happiness and to have no weight on your shoulders before you throw a dart? Because there are people who carry weights up the stairs in their personal life. Does it make a massive difference knowing that everything's okay when you win and when you lose?
Oh, for me personally, it's obviously you need the ability, but my personal opinion, I've got very good hand-eye coordination, and I would say 90% is upstairs. If the slightest thing, you know, if you take it onto the stage or even floor ones, and once that seed's in there, it's all mental for me. It's a total mental game.
And it feels like as well, on top of your playing capacities, off the hockey as well, we brought through a lot of really good young players in this competition. And whenever you're here and there is a younger player, someone in maybe their early 20s, maybe just slightly younger than that, you seem to, in the practice room, play this role of someone almost like a mentor. How nice has that been for you? Even though, of course, when you're on the hockey, as you mentioned, you want to kill your opposition. Is it nice that you can actually sit in a practice room and help that next generation of players come through?
100% H, and it's like I always say, like you say, with the younger lads and stuff, and I'll never preach to anybody. You know, all I can do is give them advice, you know, from my situation, you know, I've probably experienced a bit at the very top of the game to the very bottom of the game. And like you say, I won't preach. If I can give a bit of advice and if they take it on board, then so be it. But it's nice that I can do that, and I suppose I find a bit of comfort in it as well, you know, to mention my ups and downs in the game, you know, to the younger lads.
This is probably the wrong question to ask you, Colin, but I know that you're pretty much invested in doing exactly what you want to do tonight and the following night and obviously the week. But beyond that, what are the ambitions here and beyond?
Oh, like you say, Paul, I'm my younger for the game, and I still feel I've got one last hurrah in the game. 100%, you know, where my game is, how I feel mentally. Like you say, I've been trying the last few years for Q school and stuff and that, and it's just, you need that little bit of luck as well. But I'm 100% sure in my ability. I've definitely got one last hurrah, 100%.
Could it be here? Could it be the Champions Week?
This is the springboard age, you know what I mean? With this competition being on, like you say, over the last 18, 24 months, it keeps us sharp. It keeps us prepped, you know, going forward. But yes, like I say, hopefully it's this week at Champions Week, and then, you know, we look towards January for Q School. So yeah, I'll always be in it to win it.
The fire's still burning brightly, but without this competition, where do you think your career and your darts would be at?
I'd still been doing the circuit, which I do. But like you said, this has been a massive input for myself personally. You know, because with Southampton and coming down here, it's and again, it gives us a platform to go and play on the big stage. And
in terms of evolution, as you say, you've been here right from the very start. What's been the biggest changes from here? Obviously, we've moved into this venue here in Portsmouth. That's quite a notable one. But what do you think the biggest change has been here as you've seen this progress over a period of time?
It's just how professional everything is. You know, everything is run so professional, like you say. Going back when I was playing in the big competitions on TV, and it's going out live, which we do, and everything is on the money. You know, everything is pinpointed. The way when we come in, the way we get treated, the setup, everything. It's I can't fault it.
One last question from me, and I'm someone who's actually played on this hockey, and I know how good it is. But I want to hear from you because you are probably going to play the most matches by the end of the summer. How good is this throw?
It's even when we come from Southampton to this venue, Paul. Excuse me. It's I'd first walked in and I'd stood up actually on the stage and I didn't even have my darts. I just walked in and I threw 3-4 air shots and because they were doing the cameras and I didn't want to get my darts. And then when I'd come and played my first game on the night and soon as I'd chucked and obviously the microphone behind the board and you either dum. It was like as daft as it seems, like walking on the match play stage, you know, or the World Championships. I can't praise it enough.
And finally, from me, if you could describe the Super Series in one word, what would it be?
Fantastic.
Nice, simple word. And actually, can I just say on a personal basis, my first ever game of the Super Series was Colin Osborne. So this is a nice full circle interview. Well, Colin, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your efforts and your contributions that you've given to this competition over the last 18 months, 24 months. It's been much appreciated from everybody our side, and wish you all the best, obviously, this week and all your endeavours going forward. Well, we talk about legends at the Super Series. There may well be none bigger than that man, Colin Osborne.